The light rain falls on the gray sidewalk. A 12-year-old girl, dressed in patched but clean clothes, holds an old hat in her trembling hands. Her sweet voice echoes between the glass buildings of downtown Chicago. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. A few coins tinkle in the hat. Her eyes shine with a special light, a faith that not even poverty could extinguish. Across the street, an elegant woman steps out of a luxury Mercedes. High heels, designer purse, cold gaze like ice. She stops, observes, and her face contorts into an expression of pure contempt. "What is that noise?" she screams, crossing the street with furious steps. "You're disturbing my customers." The girl stops singing. Her eyes fill with tears. "Sorry, ma'am. I was just..." "Just what?" "Just begging for money with that ridiculous little voice." The woman laughs cruelly. "Go find a real job instead of bothering important people here." Folks, tell me in the comments where you're watching this story from. I want to know if it reached you too. The girl's name is Grace. Grace Marie Johnson. She lives in a wooden shack on the south side with her grandmother Dorothy, a 70-year-old woman who works as a janitor. Grandma always said Grace had a special gift. "Your voice is a gift from God, child. Never forget that." Every day, Grace goes downtown to sing. Not out of obligation, but out of love. She feels that her music brings peace to people. She sees it in the faces of passers-by who stop to listen. In the discreet tears of stressed executives. In the shy smiles of lonely elderly people. Grace has only one dream: to earn enough money for her grandmother's heart surgery. The doctor said that without the operation, Dorothy won't make it past next winter. On the other side of town, Victoria Blackwood commands her empire. She owns the largest luxury retail chain in Illinois. Money, power, influence. Everything she always wanted. But there's a wound in her heart that not all the gold in the world can heal. Her son Michael, only 8 years old, was born with a rare condition. Respiratory crises that appear out of nowhere, especially during the night. When they happen, the boy becomes desperate, unable to breathe properly. Doctors have tried everything. Medications, therapies, experimental treatments. Nothing works. The only thing that calms Michael during the crises is classical music. But even then, it doesn't always help. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now. This story will touch your heart in ways you never imagined. Victoria became a bitter person. She lost faith in God when her son got sick. If God existed, she always says, He wouldn't let an innocent child suffer like this. Her hardness toward the world reflects her own pain. She treats employees harshly. Looks at the poor with contempt. Thinks money solves everything. The next morning, Grace returns to downtown Chicago. This time she chooses a different corner, far from Victoria's store. Her voice resonates pure and crystal clear: "Our Father, who art in heaven." A man in a suit stops and puts a $20 bill in the hat. "What a beautiful voice, child. God bless you." Grace smiles. "Thank you, sir. God bless you too." More people approach. A small crowd forms. Some record videos. Others just listen in silence, with teary eyes. But the peace doesn't last long. Victoria appears again, this time accompanied by 2 security guards. "Didn't I tell you to get out of here?" she screams, pushing the hat from Grace's hands. The coins scatter across the ground. "You're hurting my business. People stand here instead of entering my store." Grace kneels to collect the coins, tears in her eyes. "Please, ma'am. My grandmother is sick. I need this money." "That's not my problem." Victoria turns to the security guards. "If I see this girl here again, call the police." The crowd murmurs indignantly. Some try to intervene, but Victoria intimidates them with her power and arrogance. Grace gathers the coins she can find and runs away, her heart broken. Hit like if you're rooting for Grace. Let's show that good always wins. That night, Victoria is in her penthouse apartment. Michael is playing peacefully in the living room when suddenly he starts coughing. First slowly, then harder. Within minutes, the child is panicking, unable to breathe. "Michael. Michael, my son." Victoria runs to get the medications, but he rejects them, crying desperately. She calls the private doctor. Dr. Thompson, it's urgent. Michael is having another crisis. Mrs. Blackwood, we've tried all the protocols. Take him to the hospital immediately. At the hospital, the situation worsens. Michael is inconsolable. The doctors apply mild sedatives, but nothing works. His breathing is increasingly difficult. There's nothing more we can do but wait for the crisis to pass, the doctor says with regret. Sometimes it takes hours. Victoria despairs. For the first time in years, her tears fall uncontrollably. On the other side of town, Grace arrives home dejected. Dorothy is in the kitchen, preparing herbal tea. How was it today, my granddaughter? Not so good, Grandma. That rich lady kicked me out again. Dorothy hugs Grace tenderly. You know what I always say, child? God has a plan for each of us. Sometimes we don't understand, but He knows what He's doing. But what about your surgery, Grandma? God will provide, Grace. He always provides. Grace can't sleep. She feels a strange restlessness in her heart, as if something important is about to happen. She gets up from bed and goes to the backyard. Under the starlight, she begins to sing softly, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. It's 3 a.m. when Victoria's phone rings. It's the hospital nurse. Mrs. Blackwood, you need to come urgently. Michael is getting worse. We've tried everything, but he won't calm down. He's going into respiratory distress. Victoria runs to the hospital like a madwoman. She finds her son in a bed, surrounded by doctors, crying and trembling with fear. My son, she whispers, holding his little hand. Mom. Michael manages to speak between tears. I want to hear music. The doctors have already tried classical music, children's music, even nature sounds. Nothing works this time. That's when a young nurse, who had witnessed the scene on the street earlier, approaches timidly. Mrs. Blackwood, excuse me. I saw you today downtown, and there was a girl singing. She had a voice. Different. Very special. Maybe. Victoria looks at her with contempt, even in the desperate situation. That beggar? You're crazy. Ma'am, the nurse insists, your son is suffering. It's worth trying anything. Michael moans in pain. His breathing is getting weaker. Victoria feels pride fighting a fierce battle against maternal love. Love wins. Where can I find this girl? Folks, comment there if your hearts are as tight as mine telling this story. The nurse calls a colleague who lives on the south side. After much searching, they manage to get Grace's address. It's 4 a.m. when Victoria knocks on the door of the wooden shack. Dorothy answers, startled. What do you want at this hour, ma'am? Victoria, with tears in her eyes and all her arrogance destroyed by desperation, falls to her knees. Please, my son is dying. They said your granddaughter. That she sings. Please, I beg you. Grace appears at the door, still in her pajamas. She immediately recognizes the woman who humiliated her. Grandma, it's her. I know who you are, Grace says with a serene voice. You mistreated me today. Victoria cries even harder. I know I was terrible to you. But please, my son, he needs your voice. The doctors said. Please forgive me. Grace looks at her grandmother. Dorothy just nods. Jesus taught us to forgive, she whispers. And to help those in need. Grace takes a coat and follows Victoria to the hospital. In Michael's room, the situation is critical. The boy can barely keep his eyes open. The doctors are considering intubation. Grace slowly approaches the bed. Michael opens his eyes and sees her. Who are you? He asks with a weak voice. I'm Grace. I came to sing for you. Are you going to cure me? Grace smiles tenderly. I don't cure anyone, Michael. But God can use my voice to give you peace. She kneels beside the bed, closes her eyes, and begins to sing. Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. The effect is immediate. Michael stops crying. His breathing begins to normalize. The monitors show his heart rate calming down. Bear patiently the cross of grief or pain, leave to thy God to order and provide. Victoria, standing in the corner of the room, can't believe what she's seeing. Her son, who had been in despair for hours, now breathes calmly, with a smile on his face. Grace continues singing, one song after another. Songs of faith, hope, love. Her voice seems to have supernatural power, enveloping the entire room in an aura of peace. After an hour, Michael falls into a deep sleep. For the first time in months, truly restful sleep. The doctors are speechless. In 20 years of medicine, I've never seen anything like it, whispers Dr. Thompson. Victoria approaches Grace, who is still kneeling beside the bed. How did you do that? Grace looks at her sincerely. I didn't do anything, ma'am. It was God. He gave me this voice to help people, even those who hurt me. Victoria breaks down in tears. For the first time in years, she cries for real. Not from despair, but from gratitude and shame. You saved my son. After I was so cruel to you. Jesus said to love our enemies, Grace responds simply. You're not my enemy. You're just a mother who was suffering. Victoria falls to her knees before Grace. Forgive me. Please forgive me. I was terrible to you. I didn't know. I was blinded by my pain, my pride. Grace extends her hand to help her up. I already forgave you, ma'am. From the moment you knocked on our door. Michael wakes up a few hours later, completely recovered. When he sees Grace, he smiles like an angel. You're my singing friend. You sang and I got better. Grace laughs and strokes the boy's hair. God loves you very much, Michael. And your mother does too. Victoria observes the interaction with a transformed heart. She sees Grace's purity, her unshakable faith, her ability to forgive and love even after being mistreated. Grace, she says with a trembling voice. How can I thank you? How can I make up for everything I did? You don't need to make up for anything to me. But... Grace hesitates. Tell me, dear. Whatever you want. My grandmother needs heart surgery. It's expensive, and we don't have money. Victoria doesn't let her finish. It's done. I'll pay for the best surgery, with the best doctors. And more. I want you to study music. I'll pay for a conservatory, private teachers. Your voice is a miracle that the whole world needs to know. Grace is speechless. Ma'am, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. It's the least I can do. Victoria looks at Michael, who is playing peacefully in bed. You gave me back my son. You gave me back my faith too. Comment there if you're also moved by this transformation. In the following days, Grace's life changes completely. Dorothy is operated on by the best cardiologists in the country. The surgery is a complete success. Victoria keeps all her promises. Grace begins taking singing lessons with a renowned teacher. Her voice, already special by nature, becomes even more perfect. But the most important thing is the transformation in Victoria's heart. She becomes a different person. She treats employees with kindness. She creates a social program in her stores, offering jobs to people in vulnerable situations. Michael becomes Grace's best friend. The respiratory crises decrease dramatically. When they happen, he knows Grace will be there to sing and calm him down. You know, Grace, he says one day, you're not just my singing friend. You're my sister of the heart. Grace hugs the boy affectionately. And you're my brother of the heart too, Michael. Victoria, watching the two playing in her house's garden, reflects on how her life has changed. Before, she had everything materially, but was empty inside. Now, with less pride and more humility, she feels complete. She reconnects with God. She returns to church, accompanied by Michael and, whenever possible, by Grace and Dorothy. God used a humble girl to teach me about what really matters, she confesses to the pastor in an emotional confession. Grace continues singing on the streets, but now by choice, not out of necessity. Victoria created a fund that guarantees the family's livelihood. Grace sings because she knows her voice is God's gift to bring joy and comfort to hearts. One day, a music producer discovers Grace singing in the town square. He's impressed with her voice and story. Girl, you have extraordinary talent. Do you want to record an album? Grace looks at Victoria, who always accompanies her in her street performances. What do you think, Grace? Victoria asks. It's your decision. I want to sing for the whole world, Grace responds with shining eyes. But with one condition, I want part of the profits to go to poor and sick children. So my music can help other people like it helped Michael. Victoria smiles, proud of the girl who became like a daughter to her. That's why God gave you this gift, my dear. To spread love throughout the world. Grace's first album becomes a phenomenon. Her songs play on radio stations across the country. But she remains humble, always remembering that her voice is a divine gift. During the album launch, Grace dedicates a special song. This song is for someone very special. A person who once hurt me, but who became a second mother to me. Who taught me that forgiveness can transform hearts. This is for you, Aunt Victoria. Victoria cries emotionally in the audience. Her life has completely transformed. From an arrogant and bitter businesswoman, she became a gentle and generous woman. Michael, now 10 years old, hardly has crises anymore. When they happen, they're mild and temporary. Doctors say it's an inexplicable medical miracle. It's not inexplicable, Grace always says. It's God taking care of my brother of the heart. Dorothy, completely recovered from surgery, accompanies Grace to all performances. I always knew you had a special gift, my granddaughter. But I never imagined it would be so great. Grandma, the gift isn't just my voice. The gift is being able to forgive, love, and help people. Anyone can do that. Years pass. Grace becomes an internationally famous singer. Her songs speak of faith, hope, and love. She uses her fame to promote social causes, always remembering her humble origins. Victoria becomes her manager, but more than that, her family. She creates a foundation in Grace's name to help underprivileged children with musical talent. Michael grows up strong and healthy. He never has serious crises again. He decides to study medicine, inspired by his singing sister's story. I want to help other children like you helped me, he tells Grace. You'll be a wonderful doctor, Michael. Because you have love in your heart. Grace and Victoria's story spreads around the world. A documentary is made about their lives, showing how forgiveness and faith can completely transform people. I was a lost woman, Victoria tells in the documentary. I had money, power, but I didn't have love. Grace taught me that true wealth is in serving others, in forgiving, in having faith. Grace, now a young adult, maintains the same humility as always. I didn't do anything special. I just forgave and sang. Anyone can do that. God gave us the gift of love. We just need to use it. The documentary ends with Grace singing in a poor neighborhood for underprivileged children. Her voice, more mature but still pure, echoes among the humble little houses. Victoria and Michael are by her side, distributing food baskets and toys. Did you know I once lived in a place like this? Grace tells the children. And that once a very important woman was cruel to me? The children listen attentively. You know what I did? I forgave her. And you know what happened? She became my family. Sometimes people are mean because they're suffering inside. When we forgive and love, we can heal that suffering. A little girl raises her hand. Miss Grace, how did you learn to forgive? Grace smiles and points to the sky. God taught me. And you know what? He wants to teach you too. You just need to have faith and an open heart to love. But Grace's story doesn't stop there. Let me tell you what happened after she became famous. 5 years have passed since that night at the hospital. Grace is now 17 years old and her musical career has exploded worldwide. Her albums sell millions of copies. Her tours fill stadiums. But Grace never forgot her origins. Every Sunday, she returns to the South Side where she was born. She sings in the little square where she played as a child. The community people receive her like a queen, but she behaves like the simple girl she always was. Grace. Grace! The children shout, running to hug her. Hi, my loves. How are you all? She sits on the ground, in the middle of the kids, and tells stories. Stories of faith, overcoming, how God can transform any life. Miss Grace, asks a 6-year-old girl, is it true that you were once poor like us? Of course it's true, Emma. I lived in a tiny little house, just like yours. And you know what? I was happy there. Because I had my grandma, I had love, I had faith. But now you're rich and famous. You know what the difference is, Emma? Now I can help more people. But true happiness doesn't come from money. It comes from the love we give and receive. Victoria always accompanies Grace on these visits. At first, she was afraid of the poor neighborhood. Now she feels at home. The children call her Aunt Victoria, and she loves it. Who would have thought I'd feel happier here than in my luxury salons, she confesses to Grace. It's because there's real love here, Aunt Victoria. Love that doesn't need money to exist. Michael, now 13 years old, also loves these visits. He helps Grace organize activities for the children. He dreams of being a doctor to come back and treat the community for free. Grace, do you think I'll make it? He asks one day. Michael, you have the kindest heart I know. Of course you'll make it. And when you're a doctor, you'll heal not just people's bodies, but their souls too. The foundation created by Grace and Victoria has grown a lot. Now it serves more than 5,000 underprivileged children across the country. It offers music, dance, theater, sports classes. But mainly, it offers hope. Our goal isn't just to discover talents, Grace explains in an interview. It's to show these children that they are loved by God, that they have value, that they can dream. The host gets emotional. Grace, you could be enjoying your fame, your money. Why do you dedicate so much time to others? Because that's what Jesus taught. Freely you have received, freely give. God gave me this gift not for me to get rich and famous. He gave it to me to spread love throughout the world. But not everything is rosy in Grace's life. With fame, also came criticism and attacks. Some people say she's a fraud, that she uses religion to make money, that her story with Victoria is a lie invented for marketing. Grace suffers from these accusations. She cries at home, talking with Dorothy. Grandma, why are people so mean? I just want to help. Dorothy, now 75 years old but still lucid and wise, hugs her granddaughter. My daughter, Jesus was also criticized and slandered. When you do good, there will always be someone trying to bring you down. But you know your heart. God knows your heart. That's what matters. But it hurts, Grandma. It hurts a lot. I know it hurts. But pain also makes us grow. Look how much you've grown since that scared little girl who sang on the street. Grace reflects on her grandmother's words. She realizes she has indeed grown a lot. Not just as an artist, but as a person. She learned that forgiveness isn't just once. It's every day. She learned that loving isn't always easy. Sometimes it hurts. But it's worth it. Victoria also faces criticism. Some businessmen accuse her of having gone crazy after meeting Grace. They say she lost focus on business, that she's wasting money on charity. You don't understand, she responds in a tense meeting. I lost focus on what doesn't matter. I found focus on what's really worthwhile. She sells 2 of her stores and uses the money to expand the foundation. Some partners leave the company furiously. Others, touched by Victoria's example, decide to help too. Money we can make again, she tells Grace. The opportunity to change lives might not come twice. Michael, observing all this, learns valuable lessons about what really matters in life. At school, some classmates mock him because of Grace's humble origins. Your fake sister is a slum girl who pretends to sing well, provokes a rich boy. Michael gets angry, but remembers Grace's teachings about forgiveness. She's not from the slums. She's my sister. And you know what? She has more nobility in her pinky finger than you have in your entire life. Nobility? She's poor. Nobility isn't measured by money. It's measured by the size of the heart. The boy is left speechless. Michael walks away, proud of defending Grace, but also feeling sorry for the classmate who doesn't understand people's value. Meanwhile, Dorothy's health begins to show signs of fragility. Even with a successful surgery, age is taking its toll. Grace notices her grandmother is more tired, more fragile. Grandma, let's do some tests. I want to make sure you're okay. Oh, my daughter, no need. I'm fine. Just a little tired. But Grace insists. The tests show Dorothy's heart is weakening again. It's not serious, but it needs care. Grandma, From now on you're going to live with me. I'm going to take good care of you. Grace, you have your career, your travels. Nothing is more important than you, Grandma. Nothing. Grace cancels an international tour to stay close to her grandmother. The press speculates about the reasons. Some say she's sick. Others, that she had a nervous breakdown. Grace decides to tell the truth in an emotional interview. My grandmother raised me. She taught me everything I know about love, faith, and humility. Now it's my turn to take care of her. There's no career in the world worth more than that. The public is moved by the statement. Sales of her albums increase even more. Not because of marketing strategy, but because people recognize the sincerity of her love. Victoria offers the best doctors, expensive treatments, everything money can buy. But Grace prefers to take care of her grandmother at home, with love and attention. Grandma, I'm going to sing for you every night. I would love that, my granddaughter. And so Grace does. Every night, she sits beside her grandmother's bed and sings the songs Dorothy loves most. Old hymns, lullabies, songs that touch the soul. Michael also participates in these moments. He tells stories to Dorothy, makes jokes to make her laugh. The house fills with love and joy, even with concern for the matriarch's health. You know something, Dorothy says one night, I feel like the most blessed old lady in the world. I have a granddaughter who's an angel, a step-grandson who's a prince, and a daughter-in-law of the heart who became a saint. Victoria, who was organizing the medicines, stops and smiles. Dorothy, you and Grace are the ones who transformed me into a better person. No, my daughter. You were already good inside. You were just hurt, afraid. Grace just showed you the way to find your own heart. These nightly conversations become precious to everyone. Grace realizes she's learning even more about life, about love, about how to care for the people we love. One day, Dorothy has a setback. She needs to stay in the hospital for a few days. Grace doesn't leave her side for a minute. My daughter, you need to rest, the nurse suggests. I rest right here. I won't leave my grandma alone. Victoria and Michael take turns caring for Grace, who refuses to go home. They bring food, clean clothes, affection. Grace, you can't get sick too, Victoria says with concern. Aunt Victoria, when you were desperate with Michael, I came without hesitation. That's what you do for family. Victoria understands there's no point insisting. Grace has the same determination she had when Michael was sick. On the 4th day of hospitalization, Dorothy has a significant improvement. The doctors say she can go home soon. Grandma, what a scare you gave me. Sorry, my granddaughter. But you know what? Seeing how much you love me gave me strength to get better. Grace cries with relief. I don't know what I'd do without you, Grandma. You do what you've always done, spread love throughout the world. That's why God put you here. Back home, Dorothy becomes even closer to Grace. They talk about everything, about her granddaughter's career, about plans for the future, about the faith that sustains them. Grace, I want you to promise me something. Anything, Grandma. If I ever leave, I want you to keep singing. Keep spreading love. Keep being this beautiful girl God gave me to care for. Grandma, don't talk like that. You'll stay with me for many more years. We never know what God has planned. But I want to go in peace, knowing you'll continue being light for people. Grace hugs her grandmother, promising with her heart. Meanwhile, Grace's career continues flourishing. She records a special album, dedicated entirely to Dorothy. They are songs that talk about grandmother's love, about the wisdom of elders, about the importance of family. The album becomes the best-selling of Grace's career. The title track, My Grandma, My Treasure, plays on all the country's radio stations. This song is for all the grandmas in America, Grace says in an interview. For those who raised their grandchildren with love, even without having much money. You are the true heroes of this country. Dorothy gets emotional when she hears the song dedicated to her on the radio. My granddaughter, you made me famous. You were always famous in my heart, Grandma. The album's success brings even more opportunities to Grace. Invitations for international shows, partnerships with big artists, millionaire proposals. But Grace is selective. She only accepts projects aligned with her values. She refuses several offers that could yield a lot of money, but would compromise her message of faith and love. Money is important, she explains to her manager, but it's not everything. I won't sell my soul for money. Victoria, who now also works as Grace's manager, completely supports this stance. Grace, you taught me that there are things more valuable than money. Your integrity is one of them. Michael, now in high school, continues firm in his dream of being a doctor. His grades are excellent. He studies with dedication, inspired by Grace's example. I want to be a doctor to help people like Grace helped our family, he writes in his college application essay. Grace is proud when she reads the essay. Michael, you're going to be an incredible doctor. A doctor who treats not just the disease, but the whole person. Dorothy is also proud of the boy. This boy has a heart of gold. He'll do a lot of good for the world. And so the family grows in love and complicity. Grace as the talented and generous daughter. Victoria as the adoptive mother who found redemption. Michael as the dreamy and kind brother. Dorothy as the wise matriarch who unites them all. They face together the challenges of fame, the criticism, the difficulties. But always with faith, always with love, always remembering where they came from and where they want to go. Family isn't just blood, Grace says in an interview about her personal life. Family is who chooses to stay by your side, who loves you even when you make mistakes, who helps you be a better person. The interviewer asks about her plans for the future. I want to keep singing, of course. But mainly, I want to keep being useful. I want my life to make a difference in people's lives. I want when I leave this world, people remember that I tried to spread love. And about marriage, children? Grace smiles. If God wills, one day I'll meet someone special. Someone who shares the same values, who wants to build a family based on love and faith. But I'm not in a hurry. I'm happy with the family God has already given me. Victoria, watching the interview at home, smiles proudly. Michael, look how our girl has grown. Look at the wise woman she's become. Grace was always special, Mom. We just took a while to see it. That's true, my son. That's true. Grace's story continues inspiring people around the world. Letters arrive from all corners, telling how her music and story changed lives. One letter in particular catches attention. It's from a businesswoman from New York. Grace, my name is Patricia. Just like Victoria, I was an arrogant and cruel person. I mistreated my employees, despised the poor. When I heard your story, I recognized myself in Victoria. I decided to change. Today I treat everyone with respect and affection. I created a social program in my company. Thank you for showing me it's never too late to be a better person. Grace gets emotional reading the letter. Grandma, look. Our story is changing other people too. That's how it works, my granddaughter. One love story inspires other love stories. It's like a chain of good that never stops growing. And indeed, the chain of good never stops growing. Inspired by Grace and Victoria's story, other people begin to change their attitudes. Businessmen create social programs. Rich people adopt poor families. Talented young people use their gifts to help the community. The documentary about Grace and Victoria wins international awards. It's shown in schools, churches, community centers. It becomes an educational tool about forgiveness, transformation, and love for others. I never imagined our story would touch so many people, Victoria confesses in a lecture. It's because it's a true story, Grace responds. It's because it shows that everyone can change, everyone can be better. Folks, we've reached the end of this incredible story. But I want you to tell me in the comments, have you ever had to forgive someone who hurt you? How was that experience? Share your stories of forgiveness and transformation. Grace's lesson resonates through the years. It doesn't matter where we come from or what we did in the past. What matters is our capacity to love, forgive, and help each other. Victoria found redemption through humility. Grace found her mission through forgiveness. Michael found healing through love. And so, a simple poor girl with an angelic voice proved that the greatest miracles don't happen in palaces, but in humble hearts that choose to love even when they are hurt. Good always wins over evil. Faith always overcomes adversity. And love always transforms lives. This is the most beautiful truth in the world. we all have the power to make miracles. We just need courage to forgive, faith to believe, and a heart willing to serve. Grace continues singing. Victoria continues helping. Michael continues growing strong. And the world continues being transformed, one voice, one forgiveness, one act of love at a time. Because in the end, nobody is lost forever. It just takes one opportunity, a little compassion, and a lot of love. This is Grace's story, the girl who proved that a voice can heal more than medicines, that forgiveness can be more powerful than revenge, and that God always has a perfect plan for our lives. Even when we can't see it, even when everything seems lost, He's there, using simple people to do extraordinary things. And you, watching this story, can also be an instrument of transformation. You can also choose to forgive, love, and help. Because we all have a special voice. Maybe not for singing, but to console, encourage, forgive. Use your voice. Use your heart. And see how God can make miracles through you. Until the next story, and remember, love always wins.